Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer closing out the Aqueduct card on Saturday with a Kentucky Oaks qualifying point prep. It is the $250,000 Busher Stakes for 3-year-old fillies going a 1-turn mile. You can bet this race, you can bet this nice Gotham Stakes card on Saturday at the Big A with a DRF Bets account. You double your action when you sign up. You bet 100 and you get 100. Learn more at bets.drf.com. We have got a plethora of 3-year-old fillies looking to earn Kentucky Oaks qualifying points. Let's meet the field for the Busher. Our morning line favorite is the number 10. Please Flatter Me, a perfect 3 for 3 in her career. She dominated her opponents at Penn National and Laurel last year. She did so with good figures. Yeah. The horse she beat in her last 2 races, Ujjayi, came back to win a stakes race in New York last time out. Is this the time to get her, though? Making her first start of the season off a 2.5-month layoff in a race with seemingly other speed.
Yeah, perhaps it is. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you to, take any kind of super short price on her, but I also have 0 knocks on what she did as a 2-year-old. I like all 3 of her races. I sort of feel like the 1-turn mile isn't supposed to be a real issue for her. She's drawn outside. Yes, she has speed, but I don't think she needs the lead, Dan. I mean, I like everything about her. I do think she's the horse to beat, and I want to use her in this race. I'm going to try and beat her, but I'm definitely using this horse.
I'm with you. I'm going to try to beat her, but I think you got to use her because I agree with you 100%. While she did go gate to wire in her last 2, I think this outside post and the fact that she seems willing to relax when she's up in front will have her perhaps not on the lead, but in stalking mode. Timeform US kind of agrees as we take a look at the Timeform US pace projector for this race. They've got the 10, Please Flatter Me, outside. Now, that red bar indicating a fast pace might work against these horses as they try to finish up the mile distance, but Please Flatter Me should be prominent when they turn for home. Filly Joel, who was the pace setter in both the Grade 2 Demoiselle and the Busanda last time out, also expected to be close to this fast pace. Nice maiden winner 3 starts back. The last time she went a 1-turn route, you just get the feeling that the 1 1/8 the last 2 races was just too far for her.
Yeah, I think it might be too far for her. I would also just point out that even though she couldn't hold on at the end last time, and it was a big rail day at Aqueduct, you wanted to be on the rail, and she was. She had an outside post that day, and Jose Lezcano really had to use her to make the lead. I mean, she went fast early just to get to the lead, and I think that cost her at the end of the race. Cutting back in distance really helps her in here. I think she's kind of interesting. That I'm not sure if I really think she's good enough to beat this field, but she's another horse. I think at a fair price, if she's 8-1 morning line, I would probably use her somewhere because I think she ran better than it looks last time.
Another horse expected to be close on the pace projector, I think, is slowly coming into her own, and she's sneaky for a very good trainer in Jimmy Jerkins. This is the 9 Shelly Ann, a New York bred, obviously taking on open company for the first time, but she's won 2 of her last 3 starts, and she's a full sister to 10 Sender, who was second in the Wood Memorial a few years ago. She's also a half to one of our favorites, the very versatile Mother Russia, who is a 6-time stakes winner. Shelly Ann has speed. We'll find out how good she is here.
It's a big test for her, but I don't have any problem with them taking a shot in this race. They debuted her in a stakes race, so they thought highly of her. She didn't run at all that day, but things have gotten a lot better from there. The mile's fine for her. I like that she's drawn outside. She's a big price in here if you like her.
Always Shopping was a maiden when she defeated Filly Joel in the Busanda last time out, but she was favored in that race. They expected her to excel at the 1 1/8, and why not, considering this pedigree? She's by Awesome again. She's a half to a stakes-winning router named Mo Shopping. Her dam was not only a stakes-winning turf sprinter, but she was second in the Frizette and the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. Always Shopping, I think, really appreciated the 1 1/8. I think she's going to appreciate the pace here, but I kind of like her going a little longer.
Yeah, maybe longer's better for her. Aside from all the other things she appreciated last time, she appreciated having the rail on a day where the rail was gold, and she just rode the inside behind Filly Joel all the way into the stretch, and then she just ran that horse over in the late stages of that race. I thought she ran really well. I think she's a good tender back in this race, but she's another horse at a short price. I'm probably going to try and beat her in here while using her defensively.
Todd also has the horse on the far outside, the undefeated Aura Moore, who ships up from Gulfstream Park after winning by open lengths in her first 2 starts. I have a couple of concerns. One, I didn't like the field she beat last time out, going 6 furlongs at Gulfstream. 2, while she is a daughter of Orb, I wonder how far she ultimately is going to want to go. She is a half to a stakes winning sprinter.
Yeah, the other thing I don't like about her, aside from the things you just mentioned, is in both of her first 2 starts, and she's won them easily at the end, she didn't break great in either of those races. And I don't think she can afford to break slowly again in this race, especially from post 12. Maybe the trip works out for her, Dan. Maybe she takes a step forward in here. I think she has to take a step forward to win. I'm going to be against this horse as one of the favorites on the morning line.
Is it too early to say that Oxy Lady was a one-hit wonder? She added blinkers for the first time last fall, and she upset the Grade 3 Tempted at 36 to 1 with a buyer speed figure of 94 that, as each and every day goes by, seems just a little bit more and more inflated. I actually don't think she was embarrassed in the Grade 1 Starlet behind some very good fillies out in Southern California, but she showed up with front wraps for her seasonal debut, and she didn't pick her feet up in the Rachel Alexandra.
Yeah, and listen, she wasn't embarrassed in the Starlet, but she also never looked like she was going to win in that race. I don't know. I'm with you. I think the 94 came back a little high for that race. It hasn't been predicted for any of the horses that ran that day. Maybe it's all about just getting back to Aqueduct at a one-turn mile. Maybe that's what she really likes, and she will run a good race because, you know, it's not like her 3 starts before the Tempted weren't good efforts. She ran well in all those races. So maybe she can take a step forward. I would want a price if I was going to bet her in this race, but I don't think it's impossible.
I think the turn back could be key for her. Her dam was a Grade 3 placed dirt sprinter. Oxy Lady's a half to a multiple stakes placed horse named Elusive Schemes, who is very versatile. Turf, dirt, route, sprint. She could do it all. Best bred filly in the race is the number 4 Enliven. This is a daughter of Ghost Sapper. The dam, It's Tricky, a 3-time Grade 1 stakes winning router. This filly is a half to Enticed, who I believe won the Gotham last year.
He did.
A Grade 3. And Enliven has just been a little bit of a disappointment, let's be honest. Last time out, they put the blinkers on. That experiment was an utter disaster. They tried to stretch her out in the Demoiselle. That race was an utter disaster. In the Tempted, Oxy Lady handled her very easily at 5 to 1.
Yep.
What does Kieran have to do to get this filly back on track? Is it too early with this sort of pedigree, with these sort of connections, to give up on her at 15 to 1 on the morning line?
Listen, at a big price, I wouldn't talk anybody off her, and obviously, yeah, I guess it is too early to give up on her, at least as far as these connections are concerned, because she has the big pedigree, and she has run a couple of good races, Dan, but I mean, I just really haven't been a fan of hers from day one. She is not for me in this race. Maybe she turns it around.
Let's talk a little bit about the number 5, It Just Hit the Wire, who is also trained by Kieran McLaughlin. The dam, a Grade 2 placed dirt router. She is a half to CJ's Awesome, who is a stakes placed horse going long.
Yeah.
And this horse handled 7 furlongs in her seasonal debut, very impressively, albeit over a sealed, sloppy track. We have a formulator fact for this 30 to 1 shot. Kieran's a great trainer.
Yeah.
Over the last 5 years, with 3-year-old last out maiden winners making their second start off the layoff, 40% winners, 80% on the board, 255 ROI, versatile running style, upside, little bit of pedigree.
Yeah, I think all those things are true.
Slow on paper.
She's slow on paper. That's the real problem for her. She finally got the maiden win last time over a sloppy track. I thought that was a race that was a little hard to decipher, if only because the horses that were 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and they're all first-time starters. None of them have really come back to do anything yet, so we'll see. Maybe she just wasn't beating much. On the other hand, I thought she ran really well in her debut at Saratoga. She was disqualified from the win that day, but she ran well in that start. Her second start, not so great, and then they stretched her out 2 starts back. She stumbled very badly at the start. She didn't run well that day, but she stumbled very badly at the start. I think there are ways to look at her at a big price and say she could do better in this race.
Excess capacity, no match for Enliven, 3 starts back, but first start off the Steve Asmussen claim, responded with a career best 67 buyer speed figure. Still a far cry from the main contenders in this race, but Asmussen showing some confidence in this well-bred filly. She's by Malibu Moon. The dam's a half to a Grade 1 stakes placed router and a Grade 2 placed dirt router. So this horse should appreciate distance. She appreciated the mile last time out, but she's another one that's got some class questions to address.
I respect what she did off the claim last time when they stepped her up, and she did get up over a very heavy favorite, but it didn't seem like big improvement to me, even though she won that day, and she has to improve a lot to beat this field.
Dovey Lovey, no match for Ujjayi. Last time out in the Ruthless, we could have had her for $60,000 when when she won her maiden 3 starts back. It appears Gary Contester has her in good form. Whether that's good enough to get Kentucky Oaks points is a different story.
I wouldn't have had any problem with anybody who took her for 60,000 3 back. I think this filly's actually pretty good and better than a $60,000 claimer, that's for sure. The problem with her is, so far anyway, she's been very compromised by distance. The 2 times they tried to stretch her out, it was very clear she didn't want to go this far.
We respect the favorite in this race. Please Flatter Me. She is 3-1 in the morning line. We'll try to beat her with better priced horses as Please Flatter Me returns off the layoff. As we take a look at our top selections for the Busher, tell us about the New York bred Espresso Shot, who beat a couple of next out winners, including Shelly Ann last time out. And this is a filly, I think, I like that they've stretched her out. She's bred to go longer. She's by Mission Impassable. Her dam's a half to a good route horse in Mocha Express, and she might get the pace she needs here.
Yeah, and they've routed her on dirt twice, and she's run really well both times. They were both very easy wins. I know they were against New York breds, but she ran really well in both of those races, including the maiden win in her second career start. I mean, she was forced to go early in that race with a rival coming up to her outside. She was fine with that. They totally stretched that field out behind them. She was off. I know it was a muddy track last time, Dan. She was awful good in that race. She got a good trip, but she finished that race off at the end. I really liked that performance from her. I think she fits on figure. She'll be a price in this race. She'll have some pace to attack. I think this horse has a chance in here.
And we talked about underrated trainers in all of our stakes previews in New York this weekend. We talked about John Terranova. We talked about Greg Sacco. Jorge Abreu, one of them as well. I'd like your opinion on the #1 Ujjayi, who was no match for Please Flatter Me in her final 2 starts as a 2-year-old, but then showed some heart and determination in the Ruthless last time out. I thought they were going a good pace. She had to fend off a couple of challengers, and she was getting away from those horses at the end. Now, this inside post is no bargain. I think she can rate a little bit. That's really the key to the race, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll see what kind of trip she can get, because I think you're right. I don't think there's a big problem if she doesn't make the lead in here, but what are they going to do from the rail? Because you obviously have to come out of there running. She needs a trip in this race. One of the horses that she dueled off last time, by the way, was an odds-on favorite from Jason Service Barn. She ran really well last time, this horse.
And she earned a career best 81 Beyer speed figure. She'll try to get the mile here. Mike's going 2, 10, 11, and 7. I'm going 1, 2, 10, and 11 in race number 11 at Aqueduct on Gotham Day. It's the $250,000 Busher. Get down with a DRF Bets account. When you sign up, you double your action. Bet 100, get 100 with DRF Bets. Ready, set, bet. Approximate post time for the Busher, 5:40 Eastern on a Saturday afternoon at the Big A. Best of luck.